Welcome to Political Beatdown. I just have such a good time with Michael Cohen when we're not live as well. Have you heard the big news today? Everybody is talking about it, Michael Cohen. Appliance Week. Appliance Week. It is Appliance Week. The MAGA Republicans are bringing in their right-wing conspiracy theories about laundry and sinks and refrigerators. Everybody, that's what everybody's. I don't know if you know this, Cohen. All the news is focused on Appliance Week, nothing else. That's what everybody's.
That's it. That's all we're talking about.
That's all we're talking about is Appliance Week.
You get your ovens. Now, mind you, all electric.
Right. Cohen, but I want to be serious for one moment. I mean, I'm being serious, but let me ask you this though, as we start. I really want to know, and again, I'm not getting into areas that I know you don't want to get into, and we all definitely respect that. What I do want to ask you though is just how are you feeling? How are you doing without talking about any of the specifics, obviously?
I can show you, which actually makes it just slightly easier than discussing it. But so there's my blood pressure. Slightly, in the systolic, elevated. The dystolic is a little more than what I'd like it to be, especially being on the medication for blood pressure that I'm on. I'm looking rested. Well, thank you, because actually I've been up since 2 o'clock. The anxiety for all of this is enormous. And I'm just anxious for, everything to be over, so to speak. And it's a lot. Let me put it to you that way. This whole thing is just a lot.
Look, look how selfish I am. I selfishly have a vested interest in trying to get you as a guest in my wedding coming up. And so I'm looking and so I'm looking at the hypothetical calendars.
The timeline, exactly.
I'm looking at timelines, and my fiance saying, she goes to me, so, do you think Cohen's coming? Do you think he's not, because we have to arrange tables.
By the way, let me ask you this on a personal level here. And this happened to me, by the way, when a lot of the bad shit was going down. Very close friends of ours turned around, and this is after they had sent us an invite for their children's wedding. They asked if I wouldn't go. And I was like, why? Well, the bride didn't want their wedding to be a spectacle by me being there, because I was so prevalent in the news. And I was so taken back at first. And then I said, you know what? Look, it's the groom and the bride's day. And yeah, this is a true story. It's the groom and the bride's day. And I don't want to detract from this incredibly special day. And so, sure. And I harbor no ill will towards, to the parents of the groom in this case, who I've known, one of them, since 1984 or 85. And I was saddened only because, now you're getting distance. Not even like with all the shit that was going on in my life. Now I'm being disinvited to weddings. I mean, you just make sure, Ben, that your bride, wants me to be there, because I don't want to take away from your special day either, right? You definitely don't want TMZ showing up, to your wedding. There's Michael Cohen with Ben Meiselas and Jordy and Brett and Michael Popak and Politic Girl and all of the folks that you have on this incredible network, all of a sudden it's going to be like, I'll tell you something that was interesting, right? So you'll find out, and if the answer is no, we can, and then I'm able to, to trek across the country. Yeah, absolutely. But this was very funny. So the other day, I told you that I had a 40-year fraternity reunion, and one of the fraternity brothers looks exactly like Stanley Tucci. I mean, when I tell you that he is a dead-ass ringer with the glasses, the bald head, the mustache, the beard, the whole bit, and this one elder lady came over, and she goes, because she saw me there as well, so she goes, "Oh, is this a CNN party?" I was like, no, and that's not Stanley Tucci. So she goes, no, Stanley Tucci was in your fraternity? I'm like, no, I'm telling you, this is a fraternity event. He just happens to look like him. He goes, yes. So she goes, I thought that with Stanley Tucci and you in the same place, it had to be CNN. So, Stanley Tucci has the show on CNN, right?
Well, Cohen, we also found out that you're in the same fraternity as Salty and Jeremy, our producers here, which we didn't know before, which was a funny connection.
Same fraternity, different chapters, though. I want people to know that they are also substantially half my age, and definitely more technologically savvy than I. So. Yeah.
Well, Cohen, to the extent you're able to make it, with everything going on, we'd of course would love to have you there. To answer your question too, so one of the people who I represented when I was a lawyer was Colin Kaepernick at the point in time when everybody was running away from Colin Kaepernick, right? The NFL was running away from him. Corporations were running away from him because Donald Trump said, get that SOB off the field. And remember, there were people burning his jerseys and all of that. And it was very important for me at that moment in time, and I just think this has always been something that I've always lived by is, you stand with your friends. You uplift your friends, and you're there with people through the ebbs and flows of life. That's just part of life. And, what's so kind of interesting for me, even kind of reflecting on my representation of Colin Kaepernick, right? There was a point where everybody was running away from him. Nobody wanted to touch him. Nobody wanted to do any business with him. And I was there with him throughout it all. And then all of a sudden, there was a moment, right, where then everybody wanted to do, work with us, and, all these law firms and all these people and Wall Street, everybody was coming in. How can we help? We want to donate to this and we want to be a part of it, right after George Floyd was killed at that moment, because what Colin was peacefully protesting was demonstrated, to be existing, and then even kind of reflecting in this kind of current moment as well as, first it was CRT that the right wing kind of tried to demonize. Then DEI, they try to make DEI a bad word. Then all of these corporations are getting rid of their chief diversity officers and cutting back on all DEI initiatives and all of these things. And as I always say to companies, I want you to show me where you are, or when I talk to people, show me where you are when people are running away. When it's not cool or trendy, or when you don't feel you have to do something to look good. When people are running, that's your true test of your character, where you stand in these types of moments. And I think, when people say, are you a solid person? I mean, I think you really have to stick to your values. You have to stick to your principles. And let me connect this before hogging the show totally, though, to one of the characteristics about President Biden that I appreciate. I appreciate his principles. I appreciate that he has values and that he's guided by a set of predictable principles and values that even if you disagree with them, you know where he stands on the issues. And it's easy for him to make tough decisions because they're guided by principles. And when we created the Midas Touch Network, it was so important that we not just kind of mimic and copy, like, what's this media doing? What's that media doing? Or be driven by clicks, or even be driven by politicians. It was to lead with a set of principles, and then people can meet us at these sets of principles, at pro-democracy, at decency, at compassion, at empathy, at facts, at intelligence. Meet us with these sets of principles. And that, to me, is what we stand for. That's why I support Biden, even if I don't always agree with all of the things, although I happen to think he's doing a good
I
job.
was going to say the same thing. I don't agree with all of Biden's policies. I don't agree with keeping, for example, Merrick Garland as the attorney general. Now you can't do anything about it. I mean, there's no fucking time left, right? To do anything. But early on, I mean, literally, when he first chose Merrick Garland, I said to myself, okay, this is a guy who is very even-keeled. You're not going to see, for example, a Bill Barr who is a wild man, willing to do things that obviously no attorney general should. But I was always cautious as to, was he going to go the route of, let's say, too passive and too constrained versus what we had just come off of? And the answer is, it became apparent, crystal fucking clear early on, that he was going to be this, that he wanted to show that we are not just not wild like Bill Barr, but more to the point that we're actually going to be refraining from doing certain things. And that's the big problem. You can't come off of having a Bill Barr Department of Justice to what we currently have. And I applaud Colin Kaepernick. I always applauded Colin Kaepernick in terms of sticking up for his rights, regardless of how much it cost him. And you, of course, would know better than anybody how much it cost him. Now, people have to be held accountable for their actions. I'll tell you something sick and crazy, but I'm going to be very careful how I actually phrase this. Here in the city, there is a tailor, and very, very, very prominent. Everybody kind of in the area uses them, been around forever. Someone goes into the store, and I'm dying to go and speak to him because I've known them literally now for 17 years. Goes into the store, and there, hanging in the front, is it's like out of a Larry David episode, is a jacket with a swastika on it. And the person went ahead and started taking photos, and they threw them out of the store. And now there's this massive boycott against this, this poor guy who's been, a tailor in the area forever. And he'll probably go out of business. Now, I'm just kind of thinking to myself, why? There's no way in the world that, first of all, the guy's not even, he's not Anglo. So it's hard to imagine that he's not a Nazi sympathizer. He's not a white supremacist, because he doesn't even fall into that category. And I'm trying to figure out, it reminds me of that Larry David episode where Larry's walking and he spills the coffee on the guy who has the gown, right? With the Klan's gown, the Klansman gown. And, he's like, oh man, you just ruined it. And I have this big meeting to go to. And now, Larry's like, don't worry, I'll take you to my dry cleaner. And fucking Larry David, there's nobody that's funnier. But whoever thought that something like this would happen? And so I want to find out what the hell is going on. But rest assured, it's like the exact opposite of what we're talking about here. It's like, why in the world would you do something like this? I understand why Colin Kaepernick did what he did. And I can only applaud him for having the fortitude to be able to stand. You know how hard it is to become a quarterback for just college? Now imagine how hard it is to become an NFL ball player, and one who was, a first stringer, and then to turn around and to say, I have to stand for my principles. And he did. And lo and behold, you, of course, better than anybody, can actually attest to the cost.
Yeah, if you think about
a lot of
his
people owe him
career,
a
I
lot.
mean, the starting quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers, he was a little bit injured in that last season, but if you looked at his quarterback rating, there was a bunch of, I think the New York Times, Washington Post, some other data experts just did an analysis how it would be statistically impossible for somebody with Collins' stats for him not to be a starting quarterback or at least a
Mhm.
high-ranked backup quarterback, at that time. And, I didn't know at that time I would even be launching media companies. I thought I was just going to be, a litigator or, then a deal maker, type of lawyer for the rest of my life. But at that time, hearing all of the gaslighting about Colin actually prepared me, and I didn't know it at the time, to be building a network like this because people would just lie about him. They would go, yeah, he was not even good in his last season. I think he threw like 16, 17 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, while he was injured, which was, a higher quarterback rating than
But Ben, there's a bigger issue here that needs to be addressed. And the bigger issue is it has nothing to do with Colin Kaepernick's quarterback abilities. It's a deflection because of who Colin Kaepernick is, his race, and what he was standing for. And that's the real issue here. They needed to use that as a deflection for why he shouldn't be in the NFL any longer.
Right. And you just think about the dignified gesture that he did. He wasn't drawing attention to himself. He was just on the sidelines, right? Just taking a knee in silence, not saying, hey, look at me, not trying to go to the media to get attention. In fact, he did not really even want to do any interviews at all. Yet that simple gesture, but profound gesture of taking a knee just to bring attention to the fact that there was police shootings of Black and brown people at disproportionate numbers. That's it. And he took a knee for that out of a sign of like respect, and that was turned into what it was turned into. And then, of course, everything we're seeing right now from right-wing MAGA. Let's get into what we're seeing from right-wing MAGA. You've had some back-to-back Cohen two-finger salutes to Kristi Noem. She's certainly not helping her cause the more interviews she does. In addition to, writing about how she killed her own puppy, and then over the weekend talking about how she'd want to kill President Biden's dog, Commander. It was also uncovered in her book that she was the audio narrator for. She lied about meeting Kim Jong-un, just totally lied about this story, never happened. And then so she's been asked about that, like, why would you lie about meeting Kim Jong-un? And she has like very specific details about the meeting and standing up to this little tyrant.
In the
and
DMZ, she was hanging in the demilitarized zone. By the way, she did the same shit with Macron.
Yeah, and all this stuff is bogus. And then when she's asked about it, though, too, rather than just say, you know what, I went to South Korea, I was exaggerating, all this other stuff. It was a mistake that we made. It was a big mistake. This is what she does. This is Kristi Noem losing it on Fox Business with Varney, who, by the way, this Varney guy does a good job with some of his questioning here. Let's just take a look at what Varney said to Kristi Noem. Let's play it.
Still think that you are in line to be Trump's vice president?
No, it's up to Donald Trump. He's the only person who will decide this.
He's
the only person who will decide. And I do speak to him.
May I ask what he said to you about being vice president?
So anyway, let me show you this one from Jesse Waters.
By the way, everybody knows. By the way, if you look at that video, right, you please understand. You have to understand why she thinks that she is a possible VP contender, right? It's certainly not. It's not for her brains. It's not for her political acumen. I mean, she thinks she's trying out for, Miss Universe or Miss USA pageant or The Apprentice. I mean, that's what she thinks she's trying out for.
Let me take a look. Here's Jesse Waters. Let's play this clip.
And I understand that they're attacking me for it, Jesse.
Yeah, they are. So they're also attacking you. I guess you said you met Kim Jong-un. Mm-hmm. Did you meet him?
I've been to the DMZ. I've been to North Korea. I don't talk about my conversations with world leaders. And so when I looked at the book and I saw that excerpt, I decided to make the change to the content of the book, and that's been done.
So you didn't have a conversation with Kim when you were at the DMZ? I
don't have conversations about my conversations with world leaders. I've been working on policy for 30 years, Jesse, and that's what most people don't remember about me is I'm old. I'm a mom. I'm a grandma. I've got 3 little grandbabies.
You're not that old. So maybe you did have a conversation with Kim, but you don't want to talk about it.
I will not talk about my personal conversations with any world leaders. It just won't, and I'm not going to do it.
What have you...
It quite literally didn't happen. I meant to show you the clip of Vargas.
I've been to South Korea. I've been to Seoul. So I guess maybe I should turn around and say, well, while I was there in Seoul, actually looking at a project for former organization that I was employed with, maybe I turn around and I too say, while I was there, despite the fact, of course, I had absolutely no political affiliation, at the time as a member of Congress, or clearly I wasn't the president of the United States. I too met with Kim Jong-un. But I could understand why Kim Jong-un would want to meet with her. He's definitely interested in finding out what kind of food that they're serving in South Dakota. I mean, I could just understand exactly. I don't even know what committee she sits on that would take her there. But I'm just saying.
Yeah, so in 2014, she was a member of Congress. Now she's, of course, the governor of South Dakota. When she was a member of Congress, she apparently went on some diplomatic visit there, but no one has any indication of, it's false. What she's saying is just a total lie. But then rather than just be like, all right, look, I screwed up here. I lied. She goes, well, I can't talk about any specific communications that.
By the way, nobody asked her for anything specific other than, hey, you met with him and you spoke. You write about it in your book. So if you write about it in your book, you should be able to at least acknowledge that you spoke to him. Nobody's asking you to go ahead and to violate protocol, which is to discuss the content or the sum and substance of the conversation, but at least just acknowledge that she won't even do that. But we learned some new stuff.
She goes,
she's old. She's a mom and a grandma.
She goes, well, I'm not going to get into any specifics. Okay, quite literally, your book told the specifics that were all a lie. Like, your book did do just that. It was all a lie. This is the one I meant to show you. I got confused. I showed you the Varney one. I meant to call Elizabeth Vargas over at News Nation. This was a really good interview. I thought, here's Elizabeth Vargas interviewing Christine. Here, play this clip.
But clearly, if you're taking it out of the book, it's because it's untrue.
I've given you my answer. No, and that's not the answer. I would say that, this is something that I asked to have adjusted and have the content and that name removed. And that is truly what the action has been.
You said when you learned of it, you immediately took action. Mm-hmm. You recorded the whole book and the audiobook. Mm-hmm. You read this whole passage out loud. Why didn't you take it out then when you read the audiobook?
I've traveled for years. I've been involved in policy for almost 30 years. And so I've gone all across the world. I've met with world leaders.
So you didn't realize when you recorded the audiobook?
When it was brought to my attention, and I asked the publisher if they would remove the name, and they did.
Okay, but you didn't answer my question. When you posted pictures and video of yourself recording the audiobook. When you recorded your own audiobook, you didn't notice
I'm
this
not going to discuss about my meetings with world leaders.
I'm not asking you to. I'm asking you about recording the audiobook.
Did you want to talk about something else today?
No, I just wanted to know. We're just trying to get a straight answer from it. This has been.
Oh, you did. And I took responsibility for it.
It's the gaslighting.
I have a new name for her now. This is Governor Cruella Gnome with her
Cohen,
with her puppy jacket.
the level of gaslighting, and it's not just the lie. It is on top of it when she's sitting there. It's sociopathic. It's watching that. And I did answer the question. I
Governor
absolutely did
Cruella
answer.
Gnome.
I did absolutely answer it. I want to show you how the
Also,
White
you know
House.
what we need to do? We need to have somebody over there at the Midas Touch Network make a little, what do you call them? An icon, or what do you call these things that people put up of your face, my
Memes?
face? What's that?
Little memes.
Oh yeah, little meme. That's it. Meme.
A
Right?
meme. Yes.
We need to do a Cruella Gnome meme.
Well, I'm pretty confident that the Beatdown Brigaders will themselves produce some of those, and I'm sure we'll get emailed us or tagged in it as well. No, we're not doing. Our producers are saying we should do it. We're not doing those emojis. I'm not even vetoed. We're vetoed.
All right. Damn it. I've lost out again.
Quality control. I'm implementing quality control. Cohen, you and I still have a lot to discuss. Let's take our first quick break of the show.
Living a more heart healthy life fuels everything that you do. So introducing 3-in-1 blood pressure support plus CoQ10 from Superbeats Heart Chews Advanced. Paired with a healthy lifestyle, the grape seed extract in Superbeats is clinically shown to be nearly 2 times more effective at promoting normal blood pressure than a healthy lifestyle alone. New Superbeats Heart Chews Advanced supports healthy CoQ10 levels, an important nutrient for heart health. Superbeats Heart Chews are incredibly delicious and so much better than any alternative supplements that are out there. See, I take my Superbeat Heart Chews each morning, and it's really kickstarted my morning routine. After taking my Superbeats Heart Chews, I feel like I have more energy and I'm ready to take on the day. Superbeats includes a powerful 3-in-1 formula for healthy blood pressure, featuring grapeseed extract, beetroot powder, and CoQ10. There are no pills to swallow, no ingredients to mix or prepare. And best of all, they're effective and clinically researched ingredients, and they're #1 doctor, pharmacist, and cardiologist recommended beet brand for cardiovascular health support. Find out how you get a free 30-day supply on bundles of new Superbeats Heart Chews Advanced and save 15% by going to getsuperbeats.com. That's GetSuperbeets.com.
If you're like me, you understand the pains of finding out what to wear. Let's face it, most clothes are uncomfortable or too tight or never actually the size that you really are, and not to mention the annoyance of trying to put together a good outfit. And when you finally do have a good fit, you can only wear it for a few hours before you have an important meeting or dinner, and then you have to change. Everyone wants to dress their best and look good at all times because, frankly, it's a confidence booster. So here's the deal. Men's closets were due for a radical reinvention, and Rhone stepped up to the challenge. Rhone's commuter collection is the most comfortable, breathable, and flexible set of products known to man. And here's why. Rhone helps you get ready for any occasion with the commuter collection, which offers the world's most comfortable pants, dress shirts, quarter zips, and polos. You never have to worry about what to wear when you have the Rhone commuter collection. Rhone's comfortable 4-way stretch fabric provides breathability and flexibility that leaves you free to enjoy what life throws your way, from your commute to work to your 18 holes of golf. It's time to feel confident without the hassle. With Rhone's wrinkle release technology, wrinkles disappear as you stretch and wear the products. It's that easy. With the Gold Fusion anti-odor technology, you'll be smelling fresh and clean all day long. And on top of that, Rhone is 100% machine washable, so you can ditch the dry cleaner altogether. I absolutely love Rhone. This has truly become my go-to commuter fit. We're on the move a lot, whether it's jumping from meeting to meeting or catching a flight or an important dinner. The Rhone commuter collection has never let me down. The versatility and overall comfort of the collection is undefeated. And even after I wear it all day, I still feel super fresh because of that Gold Fusion anti-odor technology. The commuter collection can get you through any workday and straight into whatever comes next. So right now, head to Rhone.com/Cohen, that's Cohen, and use promo code Cohen to save 20% off your entire order. That's 20% off your entire order when you head to RHONE.com/Cohen, COHEN, and use code Cohen. It's time to find your corner office. And now, back to the video.
Welcome back to Political Beatdown. We're live. You got Michael Cohen and you got me
You know
here.
something, Ben, as we always do, we thank our sponsors because without them, we wouldn't be able to do the show. But a lot of people always, they question me whether or not, I really do actually eat the Super Beats. And I do. I mean, I even got a new bag yesterday. These are the ones for advanced blood pressure, as you could see. So I only imagine if I didn't have them, how much higher my blood pressure would probably be.
Look, your blood pressure, all things considered, I mean, it's high, but I think that there's absolutely.
I've been worse. Yep. And so, but yeah. So, hey, did you hear about Cannon's decision?
I did. It just happened moments ago. I wasn't sure if we can or can't discuss it on it because it relates to, but I think it's fair game to discuss that she's basically indefinitely continued the trial date in the Mar-a-Lago case. And that was handed down moments ago. I think we all expected that. I mean, her trial date of May 20th never made any sense at all. There was a hearing, you may recall, back on March 1st of 2024. And that was to address the trial date. But we've been doing a lot of hot takes here on the network, including one from earlier this morning, where we were saying she still had not moved that trial date. And she's now just removed the trial date. There is no trial date at this point. And if she was play like chicken with Jack Smith to see if he would prematurely try to go to the 11th Circuit to force, I think that's what she was doing. And so she waited until the last minute, and Jack Smith just said, all right, whatever, how are we possibly going to go to trial May 20th in light of all of the other circumstances? But Cohen, it all points out with Judge Cannon, setting aside bad rulings and things on the substantive matters, but just as a judge, as someone who has to dot I's and cross T's, right? How do you hold a hearing March 1st, indicate you're going to move the trial date, which she said at the March 1st hearing? Jack Smith requested a trial date in July. The other side requested a trial date in 2025. She said that she was inclined to push it 2025 or even later. She said that on March 1st, but she lets all of March go by, all of April go by. And then we're in May 7th now. And then finally she does something 13 days before trial. It's absurd.
Look, I'm not going to comment on.
Can't comment. I'll say this about Judge Cannon but I'll say this about Judge Cannon though. Maybe you can talk about this. And this goes for Judge Cannon. This goes for all judges. NPR did an investigation where they found that Judge Cannon had failed to disclose some lavish trips that she took to this lodge in Montana. And as soon as NPR questioned Judge Cannon, hey, why didn't you disclose these trips that George Mason University, which is the Justice Scalia School of Law, funded by the Federalist Society, sent you on this Federalist Society funded trip? Why didn't you disclose it? Her response was, it must have been an error by the court clerk. And then all of a sudden the disclosure was then made as NPR had asked the question. And so when you talk about Kristi Noem, we'll show you a little bit of clip about Marco Rubio. And again, I don't care if we're talking about Judge Cannon or if we're talking about a judge appointed by a Democratic administration. You got to make these disclosures.
I'm going to tell you something. I'm also, and I have always been, anti appointment for life. I don't like the fact that members of the Supreme Court are appointed for life. I don't like federal court judges. I don't believe anybody should have an appointment for life. And that it's legitimately how I feel. The fact of the matter is, what it does is it breeds scenarios like this, where a judge can slow roll a case for whatever that judge's reason may be. Could be any number of reasons. And by having the judges on at least a timetable, at least you know that there's a point in time that that individual will no longer be sitting on the bench. Because if we don't have a proper judiciary, we don't have the proper implementation of the law, and then there's no accountability, plain and simple. And what she is showing, plain and simple, is that there's multiple sets of laws for different people.
Look,
And
I don't
that's
fault,
not our democratic republic.
and I don't fault people for going on nice trips or people working hard and
Well, I do if you can't pay for it yourself.
that's where I was going with it.
Oh, sorry, Ben.
That's the issue is when we call a judge Your Honor. Where there's a reason for that, right? They are supposed to represent honor. They're supposed to represent the judicial system. When they take that life-term appointment, and I agree with you, I don't like life-term appointments, but there is supposed to be a level of sacrifice in the sense that, a federal judge is usually at the level where they could be working for big defense firms or big law firms, and they could be making mid six figures or even seven figures at some of these firms if they have that experience in theory to become a federal judge. I don't know about Judge Cannon, but that they've decided to become Your Honor, to become a judge and to become a part of our judicial system. And with that, there's supposed to be you're not going to be going on the lavish trips that the law firms may send you on.
But except if in fact that you are going on a lavish trip with the assistance of a mega billionaire like a Harlan Crow, or in this specific case by a university, all you need to do is just disclose it so that there are others that could do checks and balances to make sure that it doesn't violate any, any specific rights. That's not what happened here. And that's the part that I find offensive, because very much like these professors who have tenure, you cannot get rid of them for doing something that is improper. And that's not the way life is supposed to be. Imagine that you're able to do whatever you want and there's no repercussion to you. That's where the problem lies.
So, Cohen, as we mentioned at the outset of the show, there's something that everybody is talking about that's going on today, and that is Appliance Week. Right now, Appliance Week is, I got to give you a little crap from time to time, Cohen, while you're on the, where's he going with this? Appliance Week, Cohen. This is what MAGA Republicans rolled out today. Here's Congresswoman Lesko talking about how proud she is to lead these efforts on Appliance Week. Let's show you this clip.
I was proud to lead the House Republican effort to protect our gas stoves. And I am proud again to lead this effort to protect our home appliances.
Look, I am all for consumer protections. President Biden's been doing actual things that address consumer protections, hidden fees, airlines not reimbursing people money but giving vouchers, real tangible things. But where MAGA Republicans come up with a fake issue based on a conspiracy, launder it through Fox. Fox will say, oh, the Democrats and Biden, they're trying to take away your refrigerators and gas stoves. And then they make up these issues, or they're coming for this, they're coming for that. It's like, no, we could have a real discussion and a debate on these things, but that's not what it is. And then they use a propaganda network like Fox to do that. And obviously, it's almost, it borders on comical when they're talking about the dishwashers and the laundry, and they're coming for the refrigerators, and they want to take your water and all of these things. But Cohen, what isn't any laughing matter at all is when they use these vicious lies to control women's reproductive rights. And they just viciously lie. It's misogynistic, grotesquely misogynistic when they go out and say things like, women in democratic states, they're doing abortions after the baby is born and stuff like that. It's like, what are you? No, that's not happening at all. Stop it. And stop lying about that, and stop treating the American people, and particularly women, like that. Like that's not what's happening at all. Here's
Did
Marco.
you hear, by the way, before we jump on, there's also, I think it's Florida, or maybe not. So maybe one of our brigaders will know which state they actually will not grant a divorce if the woman is pregnant. Did you see that? To me, again, all it does is it exemplifies to me the lack of appreciation for a woman's decision to decide that she no longer wants to be married to this schmendrick. And because she's pregnant, they will not grant the divorce during that time period. I mean, when I was reading it, is it Montana? Somebody do me a favor, just Google it. I can't do it. Maybe Missouri. It was something like that. I am so angry when I was reading it. Believe it or not, I was so angry. I can't remember the fucking state. But I was saying to myself, could you imagine? I don't care if she's pregnant or not. What's the difference? You don't know what's going on in that home. You don't know what the basis of the cause of action for the divorce is predicated upon. And here's the worst part. When you find out which state it is, that's one state. What happens when you start getting copycat states? And they start to see that these sort of, as you said, misogynistic behavior towards women, almost predicating it upon the fact that women are not human beings, they're chattel, that they could make a determination that she cannot be issued a divorce because she's pregnant. I'm like, wow, boy, are we going backwards here.
Right here is Marco Rubio going on the right wing, or where's he on? Right, yeah, he's on Fox News here over the weekend, and here's what he says regarding women's reproductive rights. Here, play this clip.
Well, what I'm more worried about is that no one ever asked the Vice President, Kamala Harris, or any Democrat, what restrictions do they support? Which abortion should not be allowed? They never tell you. Should someone be allowed to do an abortion on the day of birth? After birth? 9 months? Should past the point of viability? Well, they will never tell you which abortions should not be allowed. Okay, they're always demanding to know what exceptions do you support, but they never tell you which restrictions they would support. They are extremists. They believe abortion should be allowed at any time for any reason, basically, and paid for by taxpayers. No one ever asked Kamala Harris that. No one ever asked the Democrats that. So someone should start asking them what their position is on that, and then we can sort of define and decide. All right, what are the policy options here?
It was called Roe v. Wade. It was called Roe v. Wade. There was
little Marco, how we have still not grown up. By the way, I just looked it up. Missouri law requires a woman seeking divorce to disclose whether they're pregnant. And state judges will not finalize divorces during a pregnancy. You imagine? And they're not the only state. Here's the article. By NPR. Pregnant women in Missouri cannot get divorced. This to me is so fundamentally backwards. When I saw that article came out 5 days ago, and I was saying to myself, holy shit. This is the beginning, I'm telling you, of The Handmaid's Tale as we're beginning to see it. They're already talking about now, I mean, this, again, this is the problem when you're awake at like 2:30, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. You start reading all this crazy stuff. How about that they're actually beginning to train dogs Dogs who will be able to sniff out a woman's pregnancy hormone, the way they sniff out cocaine or marijuana at an airport. And if the woman is leaving and she's at an airport, they'll put her on a list. This is not made up, my friends. Brigaders, hear me very clearly here. This is real shit that's going on, because right now it is almost becoming not just acceptable, but it's becoming routine in order to violate a woman's right, whether it be Roe v. Wade, IVF, whether it be DNCs, whether it be having a dog walking around. And if you're pregnant and you're leaving, they're going to want to know that when you come back, you're still pregnant, that you're not even going to be able to go and to leave the state to go to another state in order for a procedure that could very well be life threatening. This is out of fucking control.
Couldn't agree more with you right there. And, in red states, they are talking about monitorships and ways to monitor pregnancies and all different ways to stop border crossings from one state to the other, to keep track and monitor women's pregnancies, to monitor women's menstrual cycles. And, that this isn't like a scare tactic or hyperbolic. We're going to stay away from a specific person for the next, a week or 2 weeks and whenever until you finish your testimony. But we'll just say that the overall MAGA policy, one of their Republican frameworks, is that they're okay if states implement laws to monitor women's pregnancy. That's what they're going to do. Let me show you. Here's the contrast, though. This is the Democratic leader, Hakeem Jeffries, moments ago on the House floor. This is what he had to say. Let's show this clip.
And so I just urge my Republican colleagues to partner with us. If you want to push back against overreach, push back against the pro-Putin extreme overreach on your side of the aisle. It doesn't want to defend democracy and freedom here and abroad. It's undermining it. And we extend the hand of partnership, as we've repeatedly done, to solve real problems for the American people. But those problems have nothing to do with the dignity of dishwashers, the freedom of refrigerators, or the liberty of laundry. Let's get back to doing the real business of the American people. Vote no against this legislation.
No way, man.
Powerful.
Free my stove. Free my stove. Come on, everybody with me. Free my stove. This is so stupid. The fact that they're wasting taxpayer dollars on your stove, your refrigerator. Oh, and God forbid you take away a dishwasher. I don't know anybody who's going to have a clean dish. This is Ben. This is very serious stuff. Join us today in ensuring that you can have your gas stove. Wow.
When I hear from the Democratic leader, Hakeem Jeffries, right there, what I hear about is join us and let's make actual deals for the American people, right? Let's pass legislation. Let's reach compromises. Let's not forget that when it came to the immigration bill, that it was a Republican from Oklahoma, Republican Senator James Lankford, who led the negotiations. And Democrats said, look, because it's critical that we fund Ukraine right now, we will agree to 95% of your immigration bill. We'll agree to mostly all of its terms. We need to make sure that we treat all human beings with dignity. If it's a child crossing, we want to make sure that they get the health care that they need. So there are things that we need to make sure we provide protections with, but we'll agree to your immigration bill. We'll do a bipartisan deal. You're not going to get everything you wanted. You're going to get far more than you ever wanted. We're going to give because we need some of these other things. So we'll make a deal. And that was blown up by MAGA Republicans. MAGA Republicans did not want to give President Biden a win, even though the most conservative member on immigration, James Langford, got what he wanted in this bill. And that's not how government should run. It just isn't. It's not one side's going to win everything. And that's, we have to reach our system is built on compromise. And it's important that we reach tough deals. And that's what we talk about too here. We're not going to get everything we want on all of these issues. We need to reach consensus. We need to reach agreement. Cohen, let me just show you this one thing before we go. So this was a video that Meiselas made and put out in 2020. And we were criticized for this video when we made this in 2020. This was 2 years before Roe was overturned, and people said we were being alarmists when we made this video. A lot of people attacked us for putting out this video. Think about the video in the context of today, though. So this was in 2020, a video that Meiselas helped produce. Play this clip.
Show me your hands on the wheels, please. Grace, step out of the vehicle on the wheel.
Scary.
So
scary
4
stuff.
years ago, we made that video and people were angry at us. You're scaring people. Roe's never going to be overturned. We were told that we were being hyperbolic. We were being called all of these names. How dare you, scare people like that.
Been there.
4 years ago.
Wow. Hey, I'm thinking for our merch store. Let me know to our brigaders what they're thinking. I'm thinking about liberate my laundry, right? With a little political beatdown.
I like that one.
About free my stove. We could even do that in a hashtag. But the most important one for me, hands off my Toto. Because you can mess with my stove, you can mess with my dishwasher, you can mess with my refrigerator, but you touch my Toto toilet, now I'm taking action.
Cohen, 2 finger salute. 2 does it go to today?
Today's a really tough one. Any thoughts there, Ben? I'm having a tough one on this one.
Christy Nome to get the hat trick.
Back to her again. I mean, though is deserving. You know what? Fuck it. Christy, fuck you. It's enough. Own your shit. Do the right thing. Step the fuck out of politics. Go, I don't know, go work in I was going to say a puppy shelter, but that would be the worst place to go.
No puppy shelters.
Just do something that has nothing to do with dealing with people, because she's full of shit. Everything that she says is a lie. All right. And plain and simple, enough already. Enough. Own your goddamn mistake. Have a nice day. Piss off. Could you imagine if, God forbid, 1,000,000 times that she becomes the vice presidential nominee? Could you imagine? And worse, if by chance she should become the vice president? Could you imagine how much more trouble that she will end up bringing this country? So, Christy, 2 fingers salute to you. Again, you're making it too easy for me. I'm actually, yes, Cruella. It's Cruella Nome. Cruella de Nome. I mean, next thing she's going to be doing is wearing a puppy jacket. Somebody has to explain to her. It's just unacceptable. You made a mistake. She should have owned it. But now that she refuses to own it, there is no way to come back. Plain and simple.
Everybody check out patreon.com/political beatdown, Patreon. patreon.com/political beatdown. We'll host a live meeting, an exclusive meeting on our Zoom. We'll figure out when to do it. Maybe we do it after the wedding. Let's just figure out, obviously.
I'm thinking maybe we'll do a fast one, maybe on Thursday.
Okay.
You know, if we can, to squeeze one in there, you know, and so on. I'm just thinking. There you go.
Okay.
Patreon.com.
Patreon.com/political beatdown. Cohen and I will chat about that. But check, once you're on Patreon, you'll get alerts about when we're going to host our exclusive Zoom meetings with the Brigaders. And it helps grow this platform. Make sure you subscribe as well to the Mea Culpa podcast, the blue Mea Culpa, not the red. So wherever audio podcasts are available,
Where's that picture?
Search Mea Culpa. We'll pull it.
By the way, nothing for nothing. I have Dash Dabrowski that's on right now. It's a fantastic episode because it'll give you the perspective of Gen Z. There you go. Thank you, Salty. Dash Dabrowski. He's a TikToker. He's a Gen Z activist. Okay, that's enough. He's a TikToker, Gen Z activist. And the beautiful thing about it is you get to hear a perspective from somebody much younger that's out there right now speaking to Gen Zers about what's important to them. And even if, in fact, for example, that Biden is not measuring up in some of the issues that they're finding the most important do actually align. So when you start hearing all of the nonsense about, Gen Zers are pulling away from Biden and his administration and his policies, it's not exactly true. At least you'll hear that from Dash.
Well, check out that interview. And I know Dash, and early on in Midas, he did a lot of videos for us. And I know he got busy with school and then did his own thing, but I'm excited to listen to that. Everybody, make sure you subscribe to Audio Political Beatdown as well. Obviously, make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel. There's a lot of breaking news. You can go and check out our live that I do every day with Karen Friedman Agnifilo, where we discuss things that we're not discussing on this show. You'll enjoy that. But make sure you check this out. We'll be back on Thursday with another live show here. And if for whatever reason you miss it live, or you want to listen to us in the car while you're going for a jog, while you're cooking or whatever, just download the audio.
Just don't cook on the stove. Not a gas stove, electric.
Don't cook there, and hide your puppies from Christine Ohm. That's the two main points we want to.
Exactly.
No puppies for Christine Ohm. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time on Political Beatdown. Shout out Brigaders. Shout out to the Midas Mighty.
Boom.